Hello, friends. I can't help but notice there's a popular trending series on Netflix called The Family. And this is an expose on a nefarious Christian fellowship in Washington, D.C., which evidently is some kind of like a great Christian mafia. I'll tell you what, we are living in a day when the devil is just coming out of the closet like a drag queen trying to teach a kindergarten the facts of life. It's bizarre. And people are telling me, Lance, you're in it. They don't mention your name, but you're in it. And so I go, oh boy, because I haven't been on video lately. You know why? I got this feeling like I'm trying to avoid destiny, like on a collision course with the gates of hell. I'm telling you what, when they come out against a group like the prayer breakfast in Washington, D.C., and through some weirdo Judas type guy that infiltrates the organization in order to write a book and then comes out and works with Netflix documentary people to do an expose that just is attacking Christians. I mean, the thing about the prayer breakfast, I don't even know what I'm allowed to show you because, it's like, I don't know what the heck Netflix and Facebook's policy is. Let's just check this sapsucker out. So I'm just sitting here watching it, right? It's like, well, what could possibly be involving me?
To this president, some of this is the evangelical base that is his base. He enjoys it, and he may see some of it as that. What we're trying to share with him is it's way beyond that. Because the evangelical base, the political base, is not what this is about. This thought of Jesus is what this is about.
Get that? I want you to catch this. The whole thing about the fellowship, as it's called, that they're trying to destroy. Ironically, Democrats and Republicans make up the fellowship. It's not just Republican evangelical. Matter of fact, they're politically agnostic by philosophy. I'm friends with these guys. I know who they are. I haven't been there in years because it's like they were, in my opinion, so neutral that they couldn't see what was happening to America over the last 8 years. And so that's why I wrote the book. You remember the book? And then they quoted God's Chaos Candidate. And then they go ahead and quote me in this nutty documentary. Some people go so far as to say, he's God's Chaos Candidate. I should play that for you. I'm telling you, I'm not crazy. They are after Christians. They're out for, and when you go after the fellowship, you've actually gone off the rails. Watch whoever this nut job is right now. This is like what's it called? The clergy voice or something she is? Here we go. Watch this. Well, there I am, 10 pounds heavier.
This is what the family's been waiting for. He's God's man. The evangelicals who surrounded him and embraced him and would end up voting for him in higher percentages than any.
Yeah, no kidding.
History, including George W. Bush.
Because we're a basket of deplorables.
Some of them would go so far as to call him God's chaos candidate.
Who? Who said that? Who said that?
Just remember that God always uses imperfect vessels to do his perfect work.
Exactly.
Imperfect vessel. President Trump's an imperfect vessel. We all are, really.
Do you remember that soundbite, that horrendous moment?
I love that moment with.
Who gets in a dust-up with the Pope on the campaign trail? And he's yelling, I'm a Christian and I'm proud of it. I thought, that's got to be God's man.
There you go, Tiger. I'll never forget that. I was at Andrew Womack's. I was like exhausted. I was just got done teaching. And I'm laying down and like I just wanted to take a break, right? It was winter. And I just checked the news out and it's like, meanwhile today, Donald Trump insults the Pope. And I go, oh my God. How could it, why would he do that? He needs the Catholic vote. You remember what it was over immigration? And basically the Pope was saying, well, Christians are into building bridges, not walls. Oh yeah? Oh, really? You build bridges, not walls? Ask any church whether or not they have a policy about who gets into the nursery. How do you keep pedophiles out of the nursery? You have a policy. Why do you lock your door at night? Why do you tell your daughter to lock her door when she's driving through a dangerous part of the city? You know why? Because bridges are for transactions and walls are for protection. Both exist. Anyway, so Trump tells the Pope, I'm a Christian and I'm proud of it. I don't appreciate what you're saying about me. And I knew then. I said, this guy can't possibly get elected without the Catholic vote, unless, of course, God's with him. But I sensed there was like a reformer thing on him way back then. I had no idea about the Hebridean revival or about his Scottish bloodline. But I just remember his eyebrows sticking out, kind of like pikes there, like Scottish pikes there. And so I said, I swear, this guy, he's got an anointing on him. And so this whole series is trying to make the distorted case, as only artists with budgets in documentary land can do on Netflix, that somehow a Christian fellowship that reaches out to Buddhists and Hindus and brings rabbis together with Muslim imams at a prayer breakfast in order to fellowship around Jesus. The common denominator is Jesus. That organization called the Fellowship is vilified in this because they can't stand the fact that Christians voted for Trump, so they're going after the jugular. Now, here's what's going to happen. It's before 2020 even comes around. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The devil is so ambitious and that he's overplaying his hand. It's almost like the wardrobe malfunction at with Janet Jackson. Remember that? Where suddenly, like her, what else do I say? Her boob pops out. I'll never forget, I was with a preacher. I was with Graham Cook. Oh, my God. I'm watching this with my kids. And, your brain can be, like, so predisposed to a certain way of thinking that I'm watching the Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson, Super Bowl segment. And I'm looking at this moment, and I'm blinking, and I'm thinking, I didn't see what I thought I saw. And meanwhile, the commentators are going, well, I don't know if that was planned or if that was an accident or if that was a wardrobe problem. And it wasn't until like a day later that it was, the backlash came. Now catch this. The devil will always push until a backlash comes. And so it was like the devil pushed. And she knew what she was doing. And she was like doing something salacious to kind of like make that edginess of the artist be exemplified. But families watched the Super Bowl, and the response was outrageously in the opposite direction. It was powerful, poignant, and specific. Don't do that. Well, you see, America's become so desensitized by the sexual promiscuity that, we kind of like don't know what to react to anymore. But now, with specials like this, what's happening is the devil's going after Christians. Because I'm going to tell you something about the Fellowship. It's not Republicans after power. Matter of fact, my frustration with them is that they haven't recognized the signs of the times. They didn't recognize that, and I met Doug Go. I know all these guys. They're all friends of mine. And I basically wasn't involved with them because I saw where Obama was going. But you want to know? This is crazy. Do you want to know who the people were that sold me on the ecumenical disposition of the Fellowship? The part about it that I kind of liked, which was how they could reach out to Hindus and Muslims. Why they don't have television at the prayer breakfast, you Netflix knuckleheads, is because when you have imams and rabbis and Hindus and Buddhists coming to a Washington prayer breakfast around Fellowship to discuss Jesus as the central character, not Christianity, not America, but Jesus, they don't want to have their political enemies filming them. You dingbats. I'm emphasizing that. Some of you guys say, well, Lance, it's not a very Christian disposition. Let me tell you something. The left has such a thin skin. I just love to probe it. So here, let me read you something I wrote in my book. God's Chaos Candidate, what they're quoting here. I want to quote to you something I wrote in my best-selling book, which some of you haven't read yet. Why is God's chaos candidate Donald Trump? Let me show you something. I predicted in this book Trump derangement syndrome. I predicted that Donald Trump would be called Cyrus by Israel. I predicted he would become president. I wrote the book when Trump was 15 points down in the polls and not likely to win. Now listen to this. I want to read this to you. Then I'll go back to my family, watch this. It's like an exquisite torture to watch this documentary. But I have a theory. I say here in my book that as the world's lone superpower, America's been a nation singularly blessed by God. Blessed is that nation whose God is the Lord, page 31, he said. Psalm 33, verse 12. And we were once a nation that honored God, but not necessarily as a Christian nation. I would never say we're a Christian nation. People could argue against that. But as a nation with a respect for Christ and an appreciation for Christian influence in our heritage. Like I said, the fellowship doesn't go far enough. My friends that introduced me to the fellowship were Democrats. My first dinner there was with Senator Nelson from Florida. Lovely guy. Honestly, I wasn't political back then, obviously. I was kind of like one of a lot of you. I was kind of revival and prayer and intercession and Jesus will change the world. I had no idea that electoral politics actually shapes culture. But I really enjoyed Senator Nelson from Florida. And I said to him, Senator Nelson, tell me about the peculiar challenges of a Christian in Washington. You know what he said to me? And this is such a brilliant quote. His wife, Grace Nelson, was like a mentor to me, which is why I know that this thing is a hit job that needs to be exposed on Netflix, because Democrat leaders who are Obama friends are part of the fellowship. These nut jobs. Anyway, so Senator Nelson, I say, tell me about the particular challenges that are happening in Washington for a senator. And he says to me, at dinner, at the Cedars, the fellowship, the family, the mafia. Here's what he says to me. Well, Lance, it seems to me that the temptations of a politician are very much similar to the temptations of a preacher. You have to pretty much keep an eye on, the gold. What was it? It was the three temptations are the gold, the glory, and the gals. I'm telling you, I just dropped my fork. How practical does it get? The gold, which means money. The glory, which means ego. And the gals, I'll leave that to your Clintonian imagination. So, I love that guy. And I know his politics isn't, what your cup of tea is, or my cup of tea at that time. I didn't even have a cup of tea. I was decaffeinated. So anyway, let me read on to you my commentary. Hey, send this to your liberal family members. I'm exposing the expose on the expose. So back to my book. Look at how fat I was back then. I'll tell you what. Fastest way to lose weight? Give up your gallbladder. All right, so let me read you what I got here. So Trump once told a group of us that were gathered together, if you don't mind me saying so, I think you Christians have gotten soft. Donald Trump told us that. From Trump's perspective, Christian leadership has become fearful of criticism and worried about confrontation. Yeah, no kidding, page 31 of God's Chaos Candidate. See, we backed up and surrendered ground. Ministers want to avoid controversy. They're worried about their 501c3. Obviously not like me. Controversy leads to loss of people, loss of offerings. Many fear the IRS backlash. In short, we put ourselves into the very place Jesus warned about when he said that if salt loses its savor, it becomes trodden underfoot of men. They don't respect the church. They don't fear the church. They openly assault and distort even the name. And they're coming after the church. Trust me, you're what the devil's after. Christian freedom, Christian liberty, Christian freedom of speech. Why, I asked God, did God not answer the prayers of so many pious people by providing an experienced conservative evangelical Christian as a frontrunner? Like Ted Cruz, like Mike Pence, like Mike Huckabee? The answer seems clear now. I think it's an issue of stewardship. This is not a problem in America. There's not a problem in America that couldn't be changed. Listen to this. Not a problem in America. Why don't you guys share this? Share this with your friends. By the way, I've got 10 seats left at the Trump Hotel. I'm going to be there in like 2 weeks in Washington, D.C. At the Trump Hotel. We're having a wild rally of you radicals. We're going to be there. I got 10 seats left. And then we're going to have to do live stream because I'm sold out. Virtually sold out. I just keep forgetting to tell you guys about it. But in 2 weeks, we're up at the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. with some surprise guest speakers. But I can't tell you who they are because I want to avoid the protests. Now, did you know that there are 100 million born-again Christians in America, Lance says on page 32? Of this number, I'll prove it to you, I said it. Of this number, only 50 million are registered to vote. What? 100 million Christians? 100 million? 50 million registered to vote? Go ahead. Challenge me on the data. Of those 50 million, only 25 show up. You don't deserve a Christian nation. If you're such a knucklehead that you don't even show up or lock your front door when the zombies are loose, of those 50 million, only 25 million show up to vote. And of those 25 million, dare I say, they're confused. They don't know what to do. They're just perplexed and apoplectic. So a bunch of them vote for the nut jobs that make the family documentary for Netflix. We're a blessed land, but most Christians are too lazy. Oh boy, do I lay it out here. You won't see me on Person of the Week in Charisma Magazine this month. We've been blessed, but most Christians are too lazy or self-absorbed to steward the garden of blessing God gave. Progressives, on the other hand, boy, was this prophetic. This guy is so prophetic, I should read his book. They live, eat, and sleep to accomplish their vision of creating utopia on earth. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about a world without cow flatulence, people. I'm talking about the real issues. There's no path to Eden, however, without Christ. That's not stopping them. Don't think you can hide either, my friend. You are an impediment to their agenda. You are still the deplorable. And what's troublesome is that many liberals, they don't even like each other. Do you really think that Code Pink, which is raging gay, loves working with the Black Panthers or vice versa? No, but they'll both show up. You know why? Because their centralized funders require, if you want to get a check, you show up to our Kabuki Theater protests. I'm going to give you my theory. Because November 9th, the morning after the election, the nation's going to wake up divided like it hasn't been since 1860. The only time the nation would be even more divided is if Donald Trump gets reelected. Which, let's not talk about that right now. Let's just say on page 33, I said, let me explain to you my theory about why Donald Trump is going to become president. It's just a theory now. I'm only giving you my theory. We, the people of God, have let the nation drift. And because we haven't engaged our primary assignment of discipling our own nation, God is doing something that none of us expected. He has not left us, ladies and gentlemen, but he continues to walk with this nation that once honored him but now disregards him. And he does it by choosing a man who has not known him in the past in order to reveal himself to this man in the crucible of his national service as president. Talking about the Trumpmeister. By choosing a man that has not known him to meet him and shape him in the crucible, it is likely that the nation itself will be shaped in the same manner, going through a crucible. You think it's all rosy ahead? Let me tell you something. That whole world I got there on the wall, you know, the one power that's holding China right now in check? You want to know what's going on in India over here? Over in India, you got 1 billion people. You know what the rules are, what the laws are right now? They're passing laws that say that it's a Hindu nationalist nation. And that if you're a Christian converting people, you can lose your property, your school, your hospital, your church. That's going on in India. While China is right now threatening Hong Kong and sending signals to Taiwan. This China is like the dragon in the book of Revelation. Almost makes me think that if America goes down, China goes up as the world's great power. Now you come over here, what's going on in Latin America over here? Oh, sorry about that. That's Africa. I always get my continents confused. Here we go, Latin America. And while we're here, Guatemala is the 50% of Guatemala. Where the heck is Guatemala? Oh yeah, Guatemala is a Christian nation. But yet the problem with Guatemala is that 50% of the country is Christian and they can't control the corruption. What the heck is going on when 50% of your country can't deal with the corruption? You know what the problem is? My theory, the church isn't dealing with the corruption. They're dealing with church growth, kind of like American churches, more preoccupied with their own growth than they are with the state of the nation. Well, that's going to change. It's going to change because we're going to change it. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to extremedreamtrip.com. If the seats are sold out, get the live stream. You'll want to get the live stream because, folks, I got something to say, and I'm not going to hold back. So, if you want to know what my sentiments are, if you're dyslexic, you know exactly what I mean. Does that work? I have to hold the camera up. Is that working? How's that working? I'm hoping it's working. That's right. Share the broadcast. Share the broadcast. And watch this wonderful Netflix. Trendy. It's number 1 on Netflix. Number 1. Numero uno. But they didn't mention my name. They just mentioned some people talk about God's chaos candidate. And that person's me. I'm not ashamed of it. All right. Well, we'll be talking to you soon. Grab that. Oh, look at that. I did a perfect throw over there. By the way, what do you think? It's not like I'm not reading anything lately. Look at my desk. It's a disgrace. It's like my mind. It's got a lot of stuff going on. All right, share the broadcast, folks. And I have no doubt that this might be removed. So share it. Give them something to chase, like the rabbit in the Matrix. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I want to thank you for watching this broadcast. And if you'd like to see more of what we've got coming up, and you never know when something new is going to be interesting, just hit the subscribe button right there, and I look forward to seeing you in a future broadcast.